Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Arkham Files Season 2. I'm Dr. Henderson.
My name's Dr. Boos.
And you may be asking yourselves, whoa, you guys died. Well,
Yes. But
no,
well,
actually.
which one is it? Did we die or not? No, we did. We did not die.
That's up for the audience's interpretation. We could be ghosts right now. But we welcome you to the second season of the Arkham Files, the show where we dive into the case files of Batman's most notorious rogues. And today, the first file we're going to be diving into to kick off season 2 is going to be that of Clayface. What is your previous experiences with this villain? Like, what are your thoughts on Clayface going into this?
I mean, definitely not in like my top favorite, but it's one of those villains I really like seeing every time he shows up. I really love him. Obviously, the Arkham City boss fight's really good. Love him in the Batman the Animated Series. I mean, that's my two favorite interpretations. Though I am not a Clayface novelist, so I don't know if those versions suck. But I mean, I like him. I think his powers are really interesting and really cool of what he could get away with. I mean, he could be anybody.
Yeah,
and I think, and
it's not even one of those things where he has to look at somebody to turn into him. I don't think.
No,
He can kind of
can
just, yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool. Which I think actually kind of might be a hot take, but I think he's more like, I kind of asked, what's the point of Hush? You know what I'm saying? Because I kind of wish they gave that backstory of Hush to Clayface. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Clayface kind of, I don't know how to explain it, but like there could be more to Hush, and we might find out here.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What's your thoughts?
He's definitely not in my top 10, I could say. Though I do like him as a villain. I think he's one of the more unique characters. I think I also like the Arkham iteration of him probably the most. He really hasn't been in much.
No,
But we do know that he's going to be in the Matt Reeves universe now, based off the whatever it is, a spinoff show or movie or something. But
yeah.
so I'm interested to see how that is. That could turn into my favorite, but for now, it's still the Arkham series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah. You ready to get into this case file?
definitely.
All right. Clayface is an alias used by several supervillains appearing in American comic books published by DC Comics. Most incarnations of the character possess clay-like bodies and shape-shifting abilities, and all of them are adversaries of the superhero Batman. In 2009, Clayface was ranked as IGN's 73rd greatest comic book villain of all time. A prominent enemy of Batman, Clayface has appeared in various forms of non-comics media and has been voiced by Ron Perlman, Steve Harris, and Alan Tudyk, among others, with a version of the character appearing on the television series Gotham, portrayed by Brian McManaman.
Vince McMahon plays Clayface.
Vince McMahon. I do not call. Oh yes, I do. Okay. I was gonna say I don't recall the version in Gotham, but I do. I think he was in like one episode. I think.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking of the same guy, I don't know. I might have to.
Well, how was it in Gotham?
He really wasn't used much. It was kind of just like he was in Arkham, and they showed him.
You're telling me they used like a real like drippy face?
Yeah, it was kind of a guy who had like this weird like. I mean, I guess his skin was made of clay or something, but they didn't really show it. I guess because it's a TV show, they don't really have that budget.
Because Gotham sucks.
No, Gotham's a good show.
I'd rather shot again to watch an episode of Gotham.
Well, publication history. Created by Bill Finger and Bob Kane, the original Clayface, Basil Carlo. Now, how do you say it? I say Basil Carlo, but I think it's Basil.
Basil? Like the spice? I always said Basil.
Okay. So I'm all right. Good. So Carlo appeared on Detective Comics number 40 in June of 1940 as a B-list actor who began a life of crime using the identity of a villain that he had portrayed in a horror film. The character only appeared twice in the Golden Age, but was the inspiration for the shape-shifting Silver Age version. So he wasn't a shapeshifter when he first appeared.
Yeah, he was just an
actor who decided to become a villain that he played on the screen.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
In the late 1950s, Batman began facing a series of science fiction-inspired foes, including Matt Hagen, a treasure hunter given vast shape-shifting powers and resiliency by exposure to a pool of radioactive protoplasm, who became the second Clayface. He retained the title for the next several decades of comic book history. This is something I didn't know. Matt Hagen was Clayface for multiple decades. Wow. Huh. So it wasn't even Basil Carlo, which is who I think of when I think of Clayface.
I know. That's what it usually is.
Yeah. It says, in the late 1970s, Preston Payne became the third Clayface, a scientist suffering from, hyper, starting off the season, me not being able to pronounce words. Hyperpituitarism. Sorry.
I don't think I could say it even better. Yeah, I could say it even better.
Preston Payne uses the second Clayface's blood to create a cure for his condition, but instead became a clay-like creature that needed to pass his new condition on to others to survive. What? This is so much convoluted than I thought it was.
Yeah.
I thought this guy was just a dude who could shapeshift. It was made of clay.
Hey, it goes deep for Clayface, I guess.
This B-list villain.
Like, you hear these things. I think that's what makes these files we're looking at so interesting, because it's just characters we just thought like, nothing much, just guy shapeshifts, but it goes just really deep. Like, oh my god.
Yeah. Sandra Fuller of Strike Force Cobra used the terrorist group's technology to become the fourth Clayface, also known as Lady Clay. He formed the Mud Pack with the original and third Clayfaces. During this era, the original Clayface used the DNA of Payne and Fuller to become the ultimate Clayface, as he now called himself. Sometime after the Mud Pack event, Payne and Fuller had a son named Cassius Clay Payne, who, as the fifth Clayface, also had metahuman shape-shifting powers. Jesus. In 1998 storyline, Dr. Peter Malloy later used a sample of Cassius Payne's skin to become a clay thing when he was introduced in Batman number 550 in January of 1998. God. In 2002, Todd Russell version of Clayface was introduced in Catwoman Volume 3, Number 4, May 2002. And in 2005, the Johnny Williams version of Clayface was introduced in Batman Gotham Knights number 60 in February of 2005.
Jesus Christ.
There are so many. That's like 8 Clayfaces.
Dude, there's more Clayfaces than there are Robins, I think. Honestly.
Jeez. I'm like in shock. This is not what I expected at all. This is crazy.
All right, let's go into the Golden Age. The original version of Clayface, Basil Boz Carlo, first appeared in Detective Comics number 40. He's a B-list actor who is driven insane when he hears that a remake of his classic horror film he had starred in, Dead Castle, would be shot without him. Acting in the film, even though he is to be one of the advising staff, donning the costume of Clayface, a villain he once played in a different movie, he begins killing the actors playing characters he killed in order and the way they die in the film, along with someone likely knew his identity last. He plans to murder the actor playing the Clayface killer he is fooled by Batman and Robin. He reappears after the prison ambulance he is riding in plunges off a cliff. He once again dons the mask of Clayface and targets Bruce Wayne's fiancée, Julie Madison, once again, and the dynamic duo foil his plans. A movie buff, Batman co-creator Bob Kane states that the character was particularly inspired by the 1925 Lon Chaney version of Phantom of the Opera, and that the name of the character came from the combination of Boris Karloff and Basil Rathbone.
Okay. So Golden Age, when he first started out, like we talked about, when he was not really a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
So
I kind of
it-
like that idea a lot.
it's
I'm
kind of
sorry.
cool. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I liked it. I'd like for them. I don't know if they've done it. I haven't really read much of Clayface, but like do like a Earth 2 or another Earth kind of story where that is Clayface.
I
He's just a sad actor.
I hate the idea.
His whole backstory is just the story of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. It's his whole going to Hollywood to take out the film that they're rebooting of him
without him. Here's the thing, like it's something interesting of him, because I hate people that like it's like, oh yeah, for the Batman they have to do a really realistic take on this character. But I'll be honest, if they did this, how would you feel if like the Batman sequel they did this version of Clayface where he's like this failed actor, and
I think it would make a lot of people mad, but I kind of like it.
I'm interested, and I don't know, with the combination of Boris Karloff, the original Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty, like the Frankenstein's monster. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Julie Madison. Hold on, I gotta look at
Julie Madison, Bruce Wayne's fiance.
Lon Chaney was an American actor. He's regarded as one of the most versatile, powerful actors of cinema around. That's pretty dope. I don't know. I kind of like this version of Clayface.
He's like a movie themed villain.
Mm-hmm. He's just like
cool.
gone crazy, and I am. I think I think they need to bring this back. Bring this Clayface back. At least for like a run of Batman, because I think it would do pretty good.
I think so as well. You want to get on to the little bit of the Silver Age we have on here?
Yes, of course. While Earth's one version of Clayface has a similar history, he was only seen in flashbacks as Alice Chilton. Remnants about Bruce Wayne's growth from her son Joe Chill shot Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne to his path to becoming Batman.
Excuse me? Wait. I gotta like... What does Joe Chill have to do with this?
Yeah, I don't know what Joe Chill... What in the world?
Okay, so in the Silver Age, Clayface really wasn't around, but he was seen in a flashback about Joe Chill's mom.
Oh.
So, interesting. All right. I'll read about post-Crisis. Now, this is after the Crisis on Infinite Earths giant DC universe changing crossover.
Yes.
Which is a good book. Definitely go read it. In the post-Crisis continuity, Carlo languishes in a prison hospital when the current Clayface, Sandra Fuller, visits him out of curiosity. Carlo proposes an alliance between all living Clayfaces to kill Batman and did an attempt to resurrect Matt Hagen. He even arranges for a small piece of the remains of Matt Hagen to be gathered to make him a post-mortem member of the Mud Pack, as the group called itself. Now, I thought all this Mud Pack stuff was like newer stuff, but it's not. It's like back in the 70s.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah, I keep thinking it is 70s,
yeah. Let's see, where was I? Yeah, post-mortem member of the Mud Pack, as the group called itself. Even though the Mud Pack is defeated, Carlo injects himself with blood samples from Preston Payne and Sandra Fuller, gaining the abilities to shapeshift and melt with a touch. Oh, so he got his... Okay, so Carlo got his clay powers after Crisis on Infinite Earths. Huh. So interesting. I learned so much stuff in this show. Wow. He becomes the self-declared ultimate Clayface. He is defeated by the combined efforts of Batman and Looker of the Outsiders by overloading his abilities, making him melt into the ground. He literally sinks into the Earth's crust when he loses control of his powers. He survives, however, and now his body sports crystals similar to quartz that endow him with greater power. Carlo escapes his underground prison when Gotham City is struck by a great cataclysm, captures Batman and is about to kill him, but he gets into a feud with Mr. Freeze about who has the right to kill the Caped Crusader. Using that distraction, Batman soundly defeats both of them. It's only Batman could defeat both of them at the same time.
Only Batman can. No one else.
Not even Superman.
Yeah. But he doesn't have prep time. No one's allowed to have prep time but Batman.
Yeah. Exactly. During the No Man's Land storyline, Carlo holds Poison Ivy prisoner in Robinson Park. After she's freed from her prison by Batman, Poison Ivy battles and defeats Carlo, sinking him deep into the ground. It appears that the Ultimate Clayface is destroyed in this battle. During the Infinite Crisis storyline, Clayface resurfaces as a member of Alexander Luthor Jr.'s secret society of supervillains. Later, he seeks to increase his already formidable powers by absorbing Wonder Woman, a clay construct similar to him. What?
Yeah, it's very confusing.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I get it. You know how Wonder Woman's supposedly made of clay. Zeus made her of clay or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And so he tries to absorb her. That makes sense.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Using that comic knowledge I got. Giving him an amount of powers that border on invulnerability. While he's successful in absorbing some of the heroine's powers, causing her to regress to a teenage appearance resembling Donna Troy, he is ultimately returned to normal when Wonder Woman and Donna were able to trick Clayface into entering a train carriage with Wonder Woman while she was disguised as Donna. Donna subsequently used the lasso of truth to swing the carriage around and turn it into a mystical centrifuge, causing the Clayface had taken from Wonder Woman to split away from him and reemerge with Wonder Woman due to the differences between the two types of clay.
Okay.
Lucille Carlo is among the members of the Injustice League and is among the villains seen in Salvation Run. During the Final Crisis storyline, Clayface can be seen as a member of Libra's secret society of supervillains. He triggers an explosion at the Daily Planet under Libra's orders when Lex Luthor orders Libra to do something that will draw Superman to them. Now, that's a good book. That's a really good book. And that scene was crazy. I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
He comes in dressed as Jimmy Olsen. Or Jimmy Olsen was supposed to be with Superman, I think. And Lois notices this. And when she goes to follow him out, she looks in the elevator and sees him, like, as the door's shutting, turning back into Clayface. And the whole building blows up and she does.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yep. Also, Black Mask attempts to control Carlo by implanting a device in his body. He escapes Black Mask, but is captured and imprisoned by the Outsiders. And that's the end of Post-Crisis.
Okay.
I mean, that's a lot.
It is a lot.
Especially for
Post-Crisis. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And now we get into my favorite section, the New 52.
Oh, would you like to read it?
No.
Okay. New 52. In 2011, the New 52 rebooted the DC universe as part of the Death of the Family storyline. Poison Ivy breaks Lucille Carlo out of Arkham, claiming she wants to marry him.
Yep.
Okay. This turns out to be a ruse, however. Ivy is using it as part of a larger scheme. Upon realizing this, he seeks revenge. Carlo later returns with a new plan to use his DNA duplication abilities to impersonate Bruce Wayne and take control of Wayne Enterprises. Yeah, see what I'm saying here? Because I was mentioning earlier about Hush.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know.
Hush, I don't know. I don't really think of Hush as a shapeshifter, though. I more think of him as like a.
But he tries to be Bruce Wayne.
Well, yeah, that's like his. He just wants to ruin Bruce Wayne's life. That's his.
Yeah.
He's a personal. That's a personal villain. Clayface is more.
Yeah, but I wish they would kind of merge Hush and Clayface together.
Hush.
Where let's say like Clayface was like this. He was friends with Bruce Wayne as a kid, and he was like in these movies or something, right? And he's like a failed actor and all. Then like whatever happens to him, and he just like I don't know, just blames Bruce for it or something, and it just or whatever they do. I just think they kind of merge those together, but who knows? Who knows? I'm probably dead wrong. Back to Aurora. He even guesses Wayne is Batman's true identity. However, Batman plans false evidence to suggest that he has anticipated Carlos' attempt to take his DNA and tricked him into taking a fake sample. Batman eventually stops Carlo by trapping him into a security system that can only be deactivated with Carlos' original DNA, reasoning that has changed too much to his original DNA to be present in the system.
Batman used the prep time to do that.
The prep.
I've read all that. I do recognize this information.
Yeah.
Let's get into DC Rebirth, which I know nothing about.
Yeah, I have no.
In 2016, DC Comics implemented another relaunch of its books called DC Rebirth, which restored its continuity to a form much as it was prior to the New 52. Basil is re-imaged as a handsome young actor who was disfigured in a car accident. In a desperate bid to salvage his career, he began abusing an industrial makeup chemical known as Renew, which, when combined with clay and putty, warps flesh into new shapes and forms. A secret he discovered from his father, Vincent Carlo, a former special effects artist. However, the chemical is long out of production, and Carlo is forced to steal more and more of it to preserve his handsome appearance. Batman apprehends him during one such robbery, which reveals his secret to the world. Carlo's career is ruined, and his girlfriend, Glory Griffin, dumps him. Batman attempts to get Carlo to testify against the creator of Renew, Roland Daggett, but he refuses. Instead, he attempts to break into the warehouse where the police are holding his stolen stash of Renew. When police open fire on the vials, Carlos is doused in the chemical and transformed into Clayface. He then attacks the set of the film he was fired from. Batman attempts to evacuate the set, but Clayface flings him off into the distance and begins massacring everyone in sight. As an added bit of revenge, Clayface disfigures Glory, who is working on the film as production assistant, before Batman apprehends him. This incident leads Glory to become Mudface of the Victim Syndicate. Huh. So that's a lot more complicated than his previous.
Mm-hmm. It sounds familiar to an animated series because that exactly all that happens, except for the whole cop thing. These I can't remember how to see this episode in a long time, but like these gangsters come in and like just drench him and that stuff, and that's how it happens. But yeah, all that is very similar to how it is in the animated series.
Gotcha. I have not seen his episodes of the animated series. I don't believe.
Pretty episode is like the first time you see him is like one of like the best episodes.
Nice. I need to watch it. Let's see. In the 2016 Batman story arc Night of the Monster Men, the villainous Professor Hugo Strange uses the serum to transform living and dead human beings into horrific monsters. Batman initially suspects Carlo, who has broken out of Arkham. Realizing Carlo needs treatment more than imprisonment, Batman asks him to join his team. Carlo agrees, and working with Batman, Nightwing, Batwoman, Orphan, and Spoiler, helps to defeat Strange's monsters. At one point, Carlo used the alias of Matt Hagen. The government agency Argus creates a quarantine zone encompassing the neighborhood where the creature died, naming it Monster Town. A consultant for Argus, Dr. Victoria October, takes charge of Monster Town, the area of Gotham City affected by Strange's serum. Clayface patrols the sewers beneath Monster Town, retrieving for Dr. October monsters created by leaking serum. Huh. So,
wait, what's Monster Town exactly?
So Hugo Strange uses some serum to create a bunch of horrific monsters out of people, and like dead bodies and living people. And that Monster Town is now this sectioned off area of Gotham where those monsters live.
Oh, okay. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, Clayface kind of patrols that area. Gotham is such a it's really dark and gritty. It's very dark. Like complete opposite of Metropolis, but it's so like, what's the word I'm looking for? Diverse. What I'm trying to say, of like, you have this whole Monster Town area, and over here you have all the Richie Rich areas where Wayne Tower is, and Wayne's Mansion, and GCPD, and all this stuff. And there's like parts of the city that are like so different from each other.
It's very divided.
It is. I think. I honestly think Gotham City is my favorite comic book place ever. Well, besides Eastern City, which is a place in a comic book called Nightwatcher and Killzone, which will be out eventually. Anyway,
Never heard.
I haven't either. Anyway, where was I? Dr. October offers to work on a means of returning Clayface to human form permanently. She asks him to stay in his monstrous form for as long as possible so she can chart the mental degradation he undergoes the longer he remains non-human. She also acts as his counselor when he despairs of a cure. Dr. October calls the Clayface persona a fear response that occurs. Carlo's mind abandons empathy and embraces anger. Batman has Clayface wear a high-technology forearm device, later replaced with a smaller wristband with a longer-lasting power source. That enables him to regain human form without using his powers, reducing the psychotic effect being Clayface has on Carlo. The device is not a cure, as the Clayface DNA consumes Basile Carlo's human DNA whenever he is locked into human form. Dr. October gives him a placebo bracelet with messages from his close friend Cassandra Cain, orphan, which helps him focus on retaining his sanity. After pushing past the 12-hour mark, Clayface loses his sanity and attacks Dr. October. Orphan intervenes, saving her life by putting the real bracelet back on. That's confusing.
Yeah.
Victoria cares deeply for Carlo and later calls him a great friend. Dr. October expresses a desire to test her cure in a less serious case, and Carlo tells her of Glory Griffin. Carlo also tells Glory about the potential cure, although she refuses to forgive him for what he did to her. Later, with the cure close to being finished, Clayface is captured by Glory when the villain First Victim takes over Arkham Asylum and releases her. Glory removes Clayface's wrist controller and he goes insane. As Clayface rampages through Gotham to confront Batman, Batwoman obtains a weapon which can destabilize Carlo's molecular structure, killing him. During his attack on Old Wayne Tower, Carlo is accidentally doused with hundreds of gallons of psychoactive mud, worsening his insanity. Psychoactive mud? Does it have that? Okay. Dr. October attempts to cure Carlo, but the effect is only temporary, and Batwoman kills Carlo. 3 days later, Dr. October cures Glory Griffin, saying she did so only for the sake of Basile Carlo. Clayface did not die, however. 7 issues later, in Detective Comics number 981, readers discover that Basile Carlo is still alive and retains his Clayface powers, at least to some degree. For reasons unstated, Dr. October conspired with him to fake his death. Carlo leaves a message for Cassandra Cain and then allows Dr. October to take him out of Gotham City. In a flashback, Clayface is among the villains that protected Ingrid Carlson during a riot. Before Ingrid was killed by an inmate using a rogue batarang, despite the villains getting her away from the riot, she gave birth to Astrid Arkham, who would later become the Arkham Knight.
Huh.
This story has gone so many different ways.
You can't predict where it is going, yeah.
I don't. I did not think the Arkham Knight would come into this ever. Jeez. And I'll read this little bit about Infinite Frontier. Basile Carlo, bringing Killer Croc, Firefly, Cheshire, and the New God Knockout as potential allies seeking a second chance. Then Carlo assures Selina that her Alleytown stronghold will inevitably come to a head with the Magistrate, which can be better served with formidable allies by her side. Clayface and Killer Croc attack Valley, giving Selina a chance to escape into the water, as the Magistrate Croc tell Basile to retreat, and before that, Valley blows Clayface up with a grenade.
Huh. Okay. Not easy.
Yeah. And that is most of his comic book history. Now, it does go in these case files through the different versions of Clayface, which we've touched on. I'm not going to go full in depth with it, but there's Matt Hagen, there's Preston Payne, Sandra Fuller, and Sandra Fuller also helps to lead the Mud Pack, which is all of the Clayfaces in one, and Cassius Clay Payne, Dr. Peter Claything Malley, Todd Russell, Johnny Williams.
Okay.
So Johnny Williams is the newest.
Me and you are just used to
Basile Carlo.
Yeah, Carlo.
There's also it says here that there were Clayface clones in the New 52. There's a character named Clownface, which was a stray piece of Clayface's body that became unattached and gained enough sentience to morph itself into a mute old man. The man was found and taken to Arkham Manor because of his unresponsiveness. Later, the Joker infected this portion of Clayface with Joker venom, morphing it into an entirely separate killing machine he called Clownface. That's a very Joker thing to do.
It is a very Joker thing to do.
There's also a 9th version of Clayface, the Clayface of Japan.
No way. Is there really?
Yeah, who debuted in Batman Incorporated number 6, June 2011, as part of the New 52. Batman tasks Batman Japan, Jiro Osamu, to fight the Clayface of Japan about 2.5 months into his Batman Incorporated venture. Not much is known about this Clayface, except that he resembles all of the previous Clayfaces and seems to have their same set of powers. Presumably, this Clayface, as a rival to Osamu, is a native of Japan. Batman states that this Clayface is a newcomer, a samurai, and operates in or around Kaido.
Huh.
And there's also John Carlinger, who is one of the Clayfaces, or character named Clayface, that is. This says Basile Carlo So I'll read this. John Carlinger was a renowned actor and director of horror movies who held a film exhibition aboard his yacht. So Carlo assaulted him with murderous intent because he neglected to invite him to the event. But Carlinger killed Carlo instead. Carlinger used Carlo's alter identity to mask his true identity and intentions when he gunned these actors down in cold blood. Batman deduced Clayface's true identity by the water solubility of his makeup. So this guy basically disguised himself as Clayface to get away with murder.
Huh.
Yeah.
What? I think we should do that. Ezra should do that.
Wow. Ezra. Yeah, Feet of Clay I guess is what you were talking. Was it Feet of Clay in the name of the episode in the animated series?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, I was reading here the different there's his film appearances and whatnot. He was cured by the Riddler.
You know the reason why he's your favorite?
Yep. Web series, Mrs. Clayface and DC Superhero Girls. Harley Quinn, that's a show I need to check out. I haven't watched any of it. I don't want to, but I need to watch it.
I've seen a bit. He's very oh no, I think about King Shark.
I've seen the clip of Bane from the Harley Quinn show, and he uses my favorite voice, the
Oh.
Batman.
Oh.
I don't have a Pringles can with me. But let's, before we wrap this up, get into the 10 worst things Clayface has ever done. I'll read through it real quick.
Yes.
Number 10, he kidnapped Bruce Wayne's fiance. We talked about that. He absorbed Wonder Woman's powers. We did talk about that as well. He drives the Penguin mad. So this was, okay. Oh, yes. Okay. Oh, Gotham. He was in Gotham for more than one episode. I remember this now. He disguised himself as Jim Gordon. All right, Basil Karlo version shows up in a handful of powerful episodes of the Gotham TV show, and Brian McManaman does a fitting portrayal of the character. Clayface's transformative abilities can sometimes help him gain access and information thanks to his appearance, but he can also mentally manipulate people this way. In Season 3, Edward Nygma uses Clayface to take on the form of Oswald Cobblepot's deceased father to torment him with his appearance. It's a particularly vicious way to torture someone and use their powers. And his deceased father was played by the guy who played his father in the Batman Returns movie.
Oh, okay.
He tries to kill the Young Justice. He disfigured and turned his girlfriend into a villain. I think we talked about that. Gloria Griffin. He killed his whole movie crew out of spite. He ran over Airbud to steal his role. Airbud, the dog? From the Airbuds movie? What? No, it is the dog. What? He ran over the dog. That's horrible. He nearly mutates all of Gotham. He psychologically tortures Batman, and he killed, in the new Batman Adventures, an episode, he killed a child.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And those are the worst things that Clayface has done. So not too extreme. But, yeah. I guess with that, we can go ahead and end off this episode.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So thank you all so much for joining us this week for the Arkham Files Season 2. Next week, we're going to be getting into another villain. We're going to get into the feline felon herself, Catwoman. And you guys definitely should check that out. Check out Season 1 while you're at it. And with that being said, I've been Dr. Henderson.
My name is Dr. Bruce.
And we'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.
Bye.